Okay, percents and decimals. So we've studied how percents relate to fractions, how they relate to proportions, now how they relate to decimals. In this block here, we're going to make the transformation from percents to decimals, and this is going to tell you everything you need to know, okay? To write a decimal as a percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right and write a percent sign. To write a percent as a decimal, move the decimal point 2 places to the left and remove the percent sign. So, sounds like a lot, but I'm sure it's something you've seen and done actually many times without even realizing it. Let's think here. If you just were to have taken a quiz and say you got a 31 out of 35. First, if you were to find your percentage and it wasn't written on your paper, you may go to your calculator, divide 31 divided by 35, and you would get a long unending decimal. I'm just going to write the first 4 digits out, 0.8857. Then, in your head, either maybe physically you move the decimal point, or you just look at it and say, oh, that's an 88.57%, which is about the same as an 89%, depending on how your teacher rounds. That was my percentage. And that's all we're doing in this lesson. We're converting a decimal to a percent, okay, by moving the decimal point accordingly in either direction. So what I want you to think of is your alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, da, da, da. I'm highlighting D and P for a reason. D is going to relate to decimals, P is going to relate to percents. If we keep this in alphabetical order, it's going to tell us which direction we move our decimal point in. For instance, to write a decimal as a percent, so if I were to have the decimal point 34, I want to write this as a percent. Well, again, we have D to P. Decimal to percent, I'm going to the right, so that's exactly what I do here. Move my decimal point to the right, 34%. Okay, now on the flip version, keeping in mind decimal and percent alphabetically, to write a percent as a decimal, move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So if I say I had 87%, I want to write this as a decimal. So I have a percent, I want it to become a decimal, so I'm going towards the left. That's what I do with my decimal point. 2 places to the left. This is the same as 0.87. Okay? All right, let's try some. I'm going to write this D and P here, writing these decimals as percents. So I'm going to go to the right with my decimal point, 0.62. 2 spaces to the right, 62%. I have 1, which really has a decimal point right after it. 2 places to the right, 100%. And then we have 2.3, 2 places to the right, 230%. That's all you have to do. Example 2, write 75%, 0.4%, and 168% as decimals. So we have percents, we want to turn them into decimals. I'm going to go 2 places to the left. 75%, 2 places to the left, 0.75. You can put that 0 in front of it to emphasize your decimal point. It's a good idea. All right, we have 0.4%. 2 places to the left, we find our answer is 0.004. And the last one, 168%, decimal point here, 2 places to the left, 1.68. And there you have it, okay? So it helps us if we remember this, which direction we're going to go. And the more you do it, you won't even need to write that out. It will just be commonplace. You'll just know exactly what to do and when to do it. That's what we want to strive for. All right, examples 1 and 2, just practicing again. So in these, we have decimals, we're turning them into percents. So I'm going to turn this first one 2 places, I get 46.1%. Letter B, 2 places, I get 500%. Letter C, 2 places, I get 190%. And letter D, 2 places, I get 0.7%. And E, F, G, and H, we have a percentage, we're turning it into a decimal. So 2 places to the left, 0.27. 2 places to the left, 1.84. 2 places to the left, 0.03. 2 places to the left, 0.0055. Let's take a look at the next page. On this page, we're going to start out by writing the following fractions as percents. Now in the last lesson, and actually in the first lesson, 7.1, we saw that if we have a fraction, we can write it as a percent by getting a denominator of 100, and we could cross multiply and get our answer, and all would be good. Well, sometimes there's easier ways of doing things, and that's what we're going to look at here. 5 to the fraction 3 over 8. Now that we recognize how to translate from decimal to percent, I can just find out what decimal 3/8 is, and I may either have that memorized or I can use my calculator. When I do that, I get, oops, 0.37. There we go. Wait, let's write it right. 0.375. And I want to turn this into a percentage. Move it 2 places to the right, 37.5%. Okay? Letter B, I have the fraction 1/3. I should know that that's 3 repeating. I'm going to write it out a couple of places. Now that I have my decimal, 2 places to the right, 33.3 repeating percent. And there you have it, okay? So 2 different methods. You can kind of see which one clicks better with you. Some people prefer the decimal, some people prefer just using the fraction. One note of caution with repeating decimals. I've seen people do this and it's easy to fall into, but it will lead you the wrong way. They say 1/3. Oh, I know that. That's 0.3 repeating. Then they go to turn it into a percent and they add that 0 and they say, oh, 30%, put the bar above the 3 and they're done. Problem, it's not 30%, and you can't put a bar above something that's not repeating. This 3 isn't repeating, obviously, because there's a 0 here. So that's not going to work. It looks like an angel with a halo. My recommendation, if you have a repeating decimal, write it out a couple of times, as I did here. Then go ahead and actually move it to turn it into a percent. Okay, so let's try these next ones. 7 over 8 is actually the decimal, 0.875. 2 places to the right, 87.5%. 5 divided by 12 is actually the decimal, 0.41, and then 6, repeating. Okay, so this is 2 places to the right, 41.6 repeating percent. 11 over 6 is actually 1.83, and the 3 repeats, so 2 places to the right is 183.3 repeating percent. And 5 divided by 4 is 1.25. 2 places to the right, 125%. All right, a few more, kind of building off of what we've done in last lessons. Example 4 has a word problem saying that the African pygmy hippo is a smaller species of hippopotamus. Suppose a common adult hippo weighs 5,600 pounds and an adult pygmy hippo's weight is 10.5% of the common adult hippo's weight. So it's going to be a lot smaller, about 10% of whatever the adult weighs. How much does the adult pygmy hippo weigh? Well, 10% of 5,600, move the decimal point 1 place because there's 1 0. If we were finding just 10%, 1 place, 1 0, we would say it's about 560 pounds. We want 10.5%, so 10.5% of 5,600. 10.5% is the decimal, 0.105 of, can mean to multiply, or if we're making a proportion, we said it implies something goes in the denominator, whatever comes after it. We are doing the proportion method, so we're going to rely on of to mean multiply. 0.105 times 5,600, my answer is 588 pounds. Pretty close to what we said before, so we know we're in the right ballpark and our answer is correct. Example 4, you try. We're going to do the same method. Turn these into decimals, 0.20, of means multiply, 85. 0.2 times 85, 17. Letter B is 0.038 times 45. When we do that, we find our answer is 1.71. 125% of 64 is 1.25 times 64. When we calculate it out, our answer is 80. And the last one, 0.5% of 600 is 0.005 times 600. We're going to calculate that out, which is going to be really tiny, and we find that it is only 3. And letter E, survey 1,100 adults, 2% chose cooking as their favorite leisure activity. We want to find out how many adults actually prefer to cook for fun. 0.02 times 1,100 is only 22, so 22 adults.